You hearing any good jokes lately?
What did the bison say to his son when he left the ranch?
What?
Bye, son. Hello and welcome back to Cosmic Complexity, the podcast where we look up into the ever-expanding universe and question why. And this week we're going to be talking about the Appalachian Wendigos.
Yeah.
Is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, we're going to go into our comment of the week, which is a friendly reminder. If you leave a comment, you might be on the next episode of Cosmic Complexity, because believe it or not, nobody comments on these. So if you're the only one with a comment, we'll probably read it. So leave us a comment. Talk about what you believe in, what you think is true, what you think isn't true, what your favorite food is. We don't really care. Just comment something, and maybe we'll talk about it. So with that, Trent, what's the comment of the week?
This is from Cygnus Tustus, and then it says, in quotations, God views all of us equally. Why the Hebrews in the Old Testament are described as God's chosen people. So I guess that was something we said. And
that was from the
slavery video.
Yeah, the slavery episode. So he's directly commenting and quoting us, and then saying that that is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Trent? What do you got? Do you think God views all of us equally? Or do you think God favors the Hebrew people more?
No. Well, it's kind of a tricky thing. There's a lot of layers to that, but I think the Hebrews in the Old Testament, or the Israelites in the Old Testament were an actual race of people that God made a covenant promise with through their father Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
But now in the New Testament, the way Paul describes it is, he says, not all who are descended from Israel are Israel, but Israel is rather everybody who puts their faith in God, in Jesus. And so now that, people who put their faith in Jesus are all sons of Abraham and are all Israel. And that's why, it says that the Gentiles or the non-Israelites have been grafted into the covenant. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it was also greatly viewed, especially, so basically the covenant that was made with Abraham, which was fulfilled through Jesus. Jesus was a descendant of Abraham, which you can find that in Luke, I think it was the first chapter, maybe the third chapter, where he goes through Jesus's genealogy. Yeah. But with Jesus made a new covenant, and in Jesus's teaching and the way that he walked around the world, or not around the world, but the way he walked and shared and talked to different people, was actually disliked by the Pharisees, who believed they were a part of the chosen people and that they were a select breed of people that could only have a relationship with God. And Jesus taught against that, which is why they didn't like him. Which is one of many reasons why the Pharisees didn't like Jesus, was because he was actually preaching that we were all going to be God's chosen people, not just the Israelites. So yes, in the Old Testament, there is a specific group of people, but after Jesus, a new covenant was made to all people.
Yeah.
Which in turn, yes, makes us seen all equally in God's view. At least that's what we believe.
Yeah.
So it's not a lie. But thank you.
But we weren't lying.
We weren't lying. But thank you for the comment. I do appreciate it.
Good comment.
That particular guy has left multiple really interesting comments that we'll probably talk about later on. But if that's what you believe, that's okay. But don't call us a liar. Respectfully.
Respect.
Yeah, I'm not calling you a liar, but don't call us a liar.
Yeah.
We do know what we're talking about a little bit. I mean, we're not pastors, but we do know.
Yeah. I mean,
we studied.
Yeah.
We've researched.
We do our research.
We researched. So anyway, speaking of research, okay, this is a complete turn. I want to do a whole episode. This is kind of one of the more fun episodes. We're going to be talking about Wendigos today. Now, I really don't know much about Wendigos. I haven't really experienced anything of a Wendigo, but I have 2 TikToks that I found that are seen as Wendigo experiences or stories. We have a definition. We have a little bit of a history from them. We also have a short written story. So we're going to get into it. We're going to figure out what Wendigos are. I don't know anything. So buckle up, grab a snack, keep on driving, keep on working, and let's figure out what a Wendigo is, because today we're gonna figure it out. But we're gonna start off with a TikTok of a man. It's about 7 minutes long, and we're gonna see what that's about. Because honestly, I didn't watch this all the way. I saved it for this. So
really? Oh, dang. Okay.
So let's get into it. Let's see what we got here.
There's a good reason why people close their curtains at night in the Appalachian Mountains. There are things in those woods that are terrifying. And one of those things happened to be the Appalachian Wendigo. Now, there was this man named Jim.
Are there multiple different Wendigos?
No, I think they're all, it's just a location.
Okay.
Of like in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, okay.
There are more Wendigos. Which a lot of these different videos were, which I mean, I could be wrong about that. Again, I don't know everything about Wendigos, but I do believe that they are the same creature in the same way that there are skinwalkers throughout everywhere.
Day that he was going to sell everything he had and buy some acreage of land in the Appalachian Mountains and start this homestead. So Jim finds this good piece of land and he moves there, builds a cabin and several structures. And for a year, his life was amazing. He said one day, though, he gets a knock on his cabin door. And he said he opens the door. On the other side of the door was this older gentleman. And he said the gentleman started speaking. He said, "Hey, my name is Fox. I live not too far from here. And I wanted to check on you because I know you're all alone out here. And things can happen to people who are alone in the woods." And Jim was kind of like, why is this guy saying all this and stuff? So he said the guy continued to talk to him, but all he could think about was the fact that this guy, Fox, looked exactly like his father, who had passed away when he was a young boy. And he said it was just very, very eerie. It was like talking to his father. So he said, finally, the guy said, "You be safe out here. I'll see you later." And he said the way he said it was kind of creepy. So he said this guy, Fox, he just walked away and took off into the woods, and he never seen him again. A couple months after this, he said, one night he was asleep in his bedroom, and he awakes to this sound of scratching. And he said the scratching sounds were coming from his window. And he said when he looked over in the direction towards his window, he sees the shadow appear, and it's almost in the shape of a person. And he said the shadow just moved across the wall, all the way around him to the other side of his bed. And he said the next thing he knows, something was holding him down. He could not move, and he was panicking and freaking out. And then he said, all of a sudden, it was gone. And he got up and he said, that must have just been a really crazy dream. So he said, this kept happening to him. He kept having this, what he thought at the time was a dream. Well, one day he said he was out on his land setting up some traps. And he said he happened to notice in the snow there was all of this weird movement. And he said, "What is that in the snow?" So he goes a little closer, he grabs a tree branch, and he moves the snow over. And he said out popped several rats. And he said that's when he realized these rats were eating a deer carcass. And he said it was just so sickening that he had to start vomiting. And he said as he was bent over vomiting into the snow, he looks up and there is the guy Fox. And he said the guy was just standing there staring at him.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing out here on my property?" And he said Fox looked at him and said, "You seen the deer?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "You see, a lot of weird things happen in these woods." And then he said he turned and just walked away. So he said, that was like a really weird encounter. Like, did he have something to do with that deer or whatever? So he said, next couple of days, he really, really kept having these nightmares where he would see this shadowy thing in his room. And then he said this one particular night, he was sitting by the fireplace and he was just contemplating life. And he said all of a sudden, the next thing he knows, he just stood up. He started walking towards the door. He opened the front door of the cabin and he starts walking out into the woods. And he said it was weird. It was like he knew what he was doing, but he couldn't control it. And something was just drawing him into the woods deeper and deeper. So he said finally he stops and he's just surrounded by trees. It's completely dark. And he said the next thing he knows, he hears his father's voice say, "Son, come here, it's your father." And he said out of the shadows steps that guy Fox again. And he said, "It's me, I'm your father, come here, come give your father a hug." And Jim's just kind of like, "No, you're not my father, my father's not here anymore." And he's like, "No, I am your father, like I've been here the whole time, come give me a hug." And he said he just like didn't trust this guy. He thought he was crazy. And he said all of a sudden this guy's skin began to peel off. And he said that's when he could see this wasn't his father. This wasn't a man. This was this pale white skinny creature with sharp teeth, sharp claws, and these bright yellow eyes. And he said this thing said to him, "I said, come here now." And the voice had changed. So he said next thing he knows, like he was able to get awareness again. And like he was aware of his situation where he was at. He turns and he just takes off running. He gets back to his cabin. He jumps in his truck and he leaves his cabin and just abandons it. And he said after a couple of weeks, he didn't know what to do.
You just leave.
So he went to this Native American man in town that everyone said was a medicine man. And he told him like what had happened and stuff. And he said, this Native American man said to him, "What you seen was the Wendigo, what my people call the Wendigo." And he said, "He has chosen you. And the reason he hasn't taken you yet is because he wants you to be as afraid as possible, because to them, the more fear you have, the better you taste to them. And he will continue to follow you and, harass you until he finally gets you afraid enough that he will take you." So Jim said he decided to sell the cabin and he never went back there again. And he said still to this day, he can hear scratching sometimes at his window and he will see the shadowy figure in his room at night, people.
So that's 7 minutes of a man talking with no edits.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, he was a pretty captivating storyteller, though. I mean,
yeah.
Props to the creator.
Do you think that's true?
You
think that was a true story? I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a personally.
It's like, well, I mean, not that I wish that it was, but it's like, it'd be cool if it was, but I mean, it's not. It's probably not.
I feel like that's
because he didn't give any evidence or anything.
Right. Yeah. There's no evidence or context, but that does at least tell us kind of a basic idea starting off before we get into the jargon.
Like just what the lore of the creature is.
Yeah. Or at least like what a random white guy on TikTok thinks of it. So it's a creature that is very similar to a skinwalker. It's a Native American spirit monster demon thing. and the more you're afraid,
Mm-hmm.
the better
Yeah.
you taste to it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I was sick last week. One thing that I have noticed, and the next video will be of this, and I actually think this video is real, is they'll whistle.
Mm.
And a common kind of reaction to it is like you'll be walking in the woods in the Appalachian Mountains, and you'll hear a whistle, and it'll scare you, and then you start getting more and more afraid, and it gets closer, and it whistles more, and it whistles more, and so the more you hear, the more you get afraid. And so the common thing to do against it is to not react at all,
Right.
because if you show no fear, then the creature won't pursue you because it doesn't think that you're afraid. Now, like when we did the Skinwalkers, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
To go hunt for these guys.
Yeah, it would.
But also, I kind of think these might be real, just because I've seen so many different videos of these creatures.
Yeah.
Or like not of them, of people reacting to them.
Yeah.
And their distilled like fear is very present, and it feels real. And it's just really weird. It's just a weird energy with these kind of creatures.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of interesting that they're, like it wants you to be afraid because that's whenever it's, you taste best. But so I mean, couldn't you just train yourself to not be afraid of things, and that's like a foolproof way of not being hunted by it.
I mean, like if like this guy's story, it transformed into his father, who was his late father, and it also like had melting skin and was scratching and like just kind of terrorizing him over the course of several weeks. I could see that like slowly building where you're like, this thing is hunting me and it won't leave me alone. I could see that being scary. But
no, it would definitely be.
We do have one more video. This one is actually pretty creepy. I like this one. This one's
okay.
It's pretty spooky.
Okay. So here's scene 7.
Okay.
It looks okay, but I am thinking we're gonna have to redo scene 7. It might be okay.
Yeah,
I don't think we planned on redoing scene 7, did we?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's that was the last one, right?
Yeah, it's getting a little cold. We should.
Okay, let's back up.
Okay, let's back.
I'm gonna keep recording with this just for some extra behind the scenes, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So not acknowledging it.
I'll try and get this in there the fastest that I can.
Yeah, it's really chilly. I think we should.
Try and hurry,
I think we should.
Will that get in there? Okay, watch your legs. Watch your arms in. Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah, you could tell they were ready to get out of there.
Okay.
Now I don't know.
Here's scene 7.
It's the only thing about the Wendigo and this creature in particular is like it's so easy to replicate that. Like it's pretty easy to fake someone. You just have a friend or a buddy
stand
whistle
off, and whistle
out. But also, if they believe this is real and they were actually filming these in the mountains, then whistling like that would be kind of scary, even if you were just doing to get views.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird that like the angle, the way the angle's set up and the way it's filmed seems a bit staged, but also the way they panic. I don't know. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Do you think it's fake? What do you think, Trent?
I mean, I think I'm pretty. When it comes to this sort of stuff, I'm pretty like, what's the word? Like not pessimistic, but like
skeptical.
Skeptical maybe. I'm pretty like. I immediately just go, oh, it's probably fake. But I don't know. I'm thinking of all the different ways they could fake it,
Yeah.
But
well, if we really think it's fake, maybe we should just go.
Yeah, just goof around.
I mean, it's in North Carolina. We'll have to go to North
Whistle.
Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina's pretty.
Mountains. I've never been.
I haven't either, but
I guess we could.
I've seen pictures of it. And it seems pretty. So
We can go.
Yeah.
We'll plan that out. Well, Trent, those are the only 2 videos I got.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we can get into the kind of the
yeah.
text of it, but I don't know. There are some more telling videos. Their reaction I thought was interesting, which is just why we made the episode of this week.
Yeah.
But
okay.
What we got?
So just start off with a definition. A Wendigo is a mythological creature, an evil spirit originating from the Algonquin folklore. The concept of the Wendigo has been widely used in literature and other works of art, such as social commentary and horror fiction. The Wendigo is often said to be a malevolent spirit, sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics, which possesses human beings. So that's kind of like what that first video was talking about. Like he just stood up and walked out his door, that's pretty freaky.
Yeah. So yeah, the powers of it. Another thing about the Wendigo to me that's really interesting is that it was kind of hard researching it because there were just so many layers to it. Like even just in like that video, he described like multiple things happening, and then like not once did he mention whistling. Then here in that video, we see people freaking out for whistling. And that's what I recognize as a Wendigo, is the whistling aspect of it. And then at the same time, with Skinwalkers, it's the same thing. Like we sat and we whistled out in Peltry Canyon for like we were out there for an hour or so, wasn't we?
Yeah.
Just waiting, and the whole time we were trying to get it to come out or whistle back, which to me that's pretty similar to the Wendigo. And it's just really
No, as a Skinwalker, it's the opposite way, right? Like it responds to a certain whistle, whereas the Wendigos they whistle first, whereas like right, because I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, the Wendigo,
like the whistle is what sort of
summons the
tracks them
Skinwalker
down.
But I've heard that if you whistle or react to the whistle, it would summon the Wendigo. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very, very confusing.
Yeah.
But what else we got? I forgot so many layers.
It's said to cause victims a feeling of insatiable hunger and a desire to eat other humans, and the propensity to commit murder. Dang. In some representations, the Wendigo is described as a giant humanoid with a heart of ice, whose approach is signaled by a foul stench or sudden, unsensatiable chill. So like a foul stench or chill.
There's also like later on, in which we're not going to get into this section of it, but some people were saying that the Wendigo was a phenomenon like psychologically. Like your brain was just like a way to convince yourself that it's okay to eat humans, and it was like this weird hybrid spiritual brain thing.
Yeah. So it was like out of need, they had to eat other humans, and they were trying to justify it some way by saying, oh well,
or even like not like intentionally, but I think just like naturally their brain was trying to like give themselves a reason why they would, and so they're like, oh, the Wendigo made me eat this baby.
That's interesting. So that could be like where it originated from.
Yeah, it could be possibly.
In modern psychiatry, the disorder known as Wendigo psychosis is characterized by symptoms such as an intense craving for human flesh and a fear of becoming a cannibal. Wendigo psychosis is described as a culture-bound syndrome. In First Nations communities, symptoms such as insatiable greed and destruction of the environment are also thought to be symptoms of Wendigo psychosis. The Wechug is a similar being that appears in the legends of the Athabascan people of the Northwest Pacific Coast. It too is cannibalistic, however, is characterized as enlightened with the ancestral insights.
So that's But that's another thing about it that they often described it as cannibalistic, but I feel like it's just wants to eat people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily cannibalistic. I think it's just an evil
Yeah.
monster. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's interesting. I mean, because the first video didn't. Yeah, you didn't mention anything about the cannibalism stuff either. Because yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting.
It is weird. It's weird. I don't know. I've always been a little skeptical about this one in particular, just because of its similarities to a skinwalker and the unreliability to prove its existence. I guess none of these stories, even the ones that we're gonna read or talk about or Wikipedia, they don't really have any examples that really show us.
Yeah.
You know, like Bigfoot, we've seen videos of Bigfoot and actually Bigfoot, not just someone whistling off
Right,
camera.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Or skinwalkers, there's videos of creatures transforming from deer to this weird lanky long creature. I've talked to people who have seen Bigfoot. It's there are creatures where that can be, at least to me, somewhat proven in a sense.
There's more evidence.
There's a little bit more evidence, whether it be online or just in person. But I just don't know about this one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's and it could be because skinwalkers and Wendigos are very similar, so it could just be that it's one thing that someone got started and it broke off into two different cryptid stories. You know,
which also we're talking about Native American tribes here.
Yeah.
It could be two different tribes, and they both were experiencing the same creature, but they didn't know how to. They didn't agree on what to call it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could be it too.
It could be the same creature. It's just two different names.
Yeah,
because a lot of these attributes are pretty similar. So, but okay, I do have a story. This is from Quora, from a man named Gage Ferguson.
Okay,
and
Gage Ferguson.
Listen, I don't think there is any way to say this is true whatsoever, but I just thought it would be fun to see if a well-written internet story about a Wendigo would be interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see what Gage had to say. The question was, have you ever experienced skinwalkers or Wendigos? In the same question. This is apparently a Wendigo story, I believe. And Gage said, Gage Ferguson on Quora. Let me do a voice for Gage.
All right.
Yes, I have. Or I think I have. Around this recent November 13th, I went hunting with a couple of buddies and I knew in high school. And one of their younger siblings, for the sake of their safety, I'm not going to say their real names. There was Max, the smallest of us. They were Sam's younger brother. There was me and Jason. He was the oldest. On the way to the hunting trip, we decided to just set up camp about 3 miles from Lake Ontario, as it was already around 7 o'clock. So night was approaching fast. Sam and Jason set up the tent. Me and Max were in charge of grabbing firewood. And we were too far to see light, so I turned on a headlamp Jason lended to me. Max already had one, but it was dead. He started heading back to grab new batteries, leaving me alone in the dark. Bad situation there. Bad situation. Yeah. I turned on the headlamp. Click.
Didn't have a click.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And standing about 8 feet tall, maybe 600 yards from me, stood a silhouette. I don't know how to spell it, but it was tall and dark in a brightly lit light. I assumed it was a funny-looking dead tree, so I headed closer to it, and it darted off at speeds I've never seen, making no disturbance in the leaves. My headlamp flickers, and it goes back to doing its thing. Right now is hell. What? Right now is hell. So I started running up to the camp and saw Max walking down, curious as to why I was in utter dismay. Okay, that's scary.
Yeah. No, dude, I mean, that'd be freaking terrifying.
You have, first off, if I'm in the woods and all I have is like a one beam of light.
Yeah.
and like it doesn't really fill out the surface around me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. I get anxious.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
scenarios like
And
that.
if you're alone, like I mean, the fact they were like they separated like that, that's just not
Not
a
wise.
smart thing to do.
I mean, it's not super late in the night. Not disturbing the leaves is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Well, so he comes up to Max. I told Max what I saw, and we decided to stay back and investigate what it was as I walked behind him. He usually doesn't really talk about this stuff, but as well as we walked up closer to the quote unquote thing, it just darted off faster than I could ever see. So it stayed in the area.
So Max saw it. No.
Yeah, I guess
They both saw it.
The air suddenly chilled in the New York air. His writing is so bad. The air suddenly chilled in the New York air as I could see my own breath. We stood there, a moment in confusion, still trying to fathom what we just saw. We dead sprinted back to camp, never looking back to see our camp was entirely raided by what looked like a bear. Except nothing was taken, and it was all torn apart, open, and only clear evidence it wasn't a bear was that there were hooves. Hooves now. I'm not familiar with the unexplained, but Max apparently was mad and he just stood there trembling in fear, not saying a word. We saw the rest of the camp running up the hill, terrified. Jason and Sam said they saw an 8 to 10 foot tall creature. We all knew we would pack up our things and leave at first light. I haven't really given it much thought, but Max doesn't want to talk about it anymore, and he only said the Wendigo and turned away when it's brought up. His smile fades.
So they all four saw it.
I guess so, yeah. And it had hooves. Hooves.
Yeah. Interesting.
But again, that doesn't I feel like that doesn't necessarily describe the same creature.
Yeah, because it didn't whistle, it didn't like
it just was fast.
Lure them in any way. It didn't like. Yeah, it's interesting.
So is this the Wendigo? Is it also in New York?
Yeah,
that's not North Carolina.
Yeah,
is it near?
I think the
Carolina?
Appalachian Mountains run.
And he didn't say where.
To,
I mean, I don't know where Ontario Lake is.
Yeah,
but I guess in New York. I don't know.
In that area, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, but what would it be if it's not a Wendigo, though? You know?
Just a creature. I don't know. With hooves.
Yeah.
Hooves.
Some hoofed creature.
Hooves. Okay, well, let's get into the folklore, because, I mean, honestly, there's not much there. It's just kind of a weirdly poor written story on core.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be fun to read it, but honestly, it was kind of boring. Sorry, guys. I really failed you.
No. It was fun.
I really failed making this list of things to talk about today, guys. I'm really
No, you didn't fail.
I'm really sorry.
Don't say that about yourself.
Okay.
You're not a failure.
Thank you. Folklore. The Wendigo is part of a traditional belief system of a number of Algonquin-speaking people, including the Ojibwe and Saltuaks and the Cree, the Napskapi, and the Anu. Although descriptions can vary somewhat, common to all these cultures in the view of that of the Wendigo is a malevolent, cannibalistic, supernatural being. They were strongly associated with the North winter cold, famine, and starvation. So it was commonly seen in the winter, which that does line up with the first story we heard today. It was in the winter.
Yeah.
With the deer and the rats and shit.
Yeah.
Basil H. Johnston, an Ojibwe teacher and scholar from Ontario. Interesting. Describes a Wendigo. The Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin. Its complexion, the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep in their sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton, recently disturbed from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody, unclean and suffering from suppuration of the flesh. The Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. In Ojibwe Eastern Cree, West Main Swampy Cree, Ascapi, and Anu lore, Wendigos are often described as a giant that are many times larger than human beings. Characteristic absent from myths and other eloquent cultures, whenever a Wendigo ate another person, it would grow in proportion to a meal it had just eaten, so it could never be full. Therefore, Wendigos are portrayed as simultaneously gluttonous and extremely thin due to their starvation. The Wendigo is seen as an embodiment of gluttony, greed, and excess, never satisfied after killing. Consuming one person, they are constantly searching for new victims. So they're kind of like a really interesting spiritual creature, it seems.
Yeah.
You know, it represents gluttony and cannibalism.
Yeah. It's just the way that I was talking about it is like it's always having to eat people, you know. So like why we read read and watched 3 different stories where it didn't do anything. It just like
didn't even eat the deer. It didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to line up. None of this lines up, man. What is this? Why is it so like inconsistent? It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like it makes it so hard to really tell what is
the
reality.
And you think that like they would, because it's talking about how it had like a eerie smell. So you think that they would smell that, you know, like in both those other stories.
We would have heard a description of it.
Yeah. But which that's kind of an interesting thing that I guess smell can be like eerie or like kind of just like unsettling. You know? It's like not even like a bad smell necessarily. It's just kind of like it's kind of interesting how that all like what makes things like unsettling and eerie. You know, it's kind of interesting.
The Wendigo need not lose the human powers of cognition or speech, and in some depictions may clearly communicate with prospective victims or even threaten and taunt them. A specimen of folk story called in the early 20th century by Lottie Chicago Marsden, an ethnographer of the Chippewas of Rama First Nation, in which a Wendigo also exhibits tool use and ability to survive in partial dismemberment and auto-cannibalism. One time, long ago, a big Wendigo stole an Indian boy, but the boy was too thin, so the Wendigo didn't eat him up right away, but he traveled with an Indian boy waiting for him till he'd get fat. The Wendigo had a knife, and he'd cut the boy on the hand to see if he was fat enough to eat, but the boy didn't get fat. They traveled too much. One day they came to an Indian village, and the Wendigo sent the boy to the Indian village to eat. He just gave the boy so much time to go there and back. The boy told the Indians that the Wendigo was never near them and showed them his hand where the Wendigo had cut him to see if he was fat enough to eat. They heard the Wendigo calling the boy, and he said to the boy, "Hurry up, don't tell lies to those Indians." All of these Indians went to where the Wendigo was and cut off his legs. They went back in to see if he was dead, and he wasn't dead, and he was eating the juice marrow from the inside of the bones of his legs that were cut off. The Indians asked the Wendigo if there was only fat on them, and he said, "Yeah, you bet there is. I haven't eaten lots of Indians. No wonder they are fat." The Indians then killed him and cut him to pieces. This was the end of the giant Wendigo. And that's all I got.
That is interesting.
That's all that really there was on the Wendigo when it comes to Wiki and Reddit and somewhat minorly credible sources.
Yeah. So that was like a story of like an actual interaction with it.
Which that matches up more with the first story we heard.
Yeah.
Where it's like
it kind of doesn't want to eat you right away. It waits until it's you're ready.
Yeah, I guess. And that one didn't seem to really portray fear. It was more like just wanting you to be fat. It just wanted you to be like, which I don't know, that again feels more like a gluttonous kind of weird story.
Yeah.
I don't know, Trent. What do you think? What do you think of this creature, the Wendigo? What do you think is true?
What do I think is true?
What do you think of this is true?
I mean, we've already we've established that we believe in skinwalkers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think skinwalkers are real, and so it's kind of hard since this isn't too far off from a skinwalker. It's kind of hard to be like, oh well, I don't believe in this. If I say that I think skinwalkers are real, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so similar.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they are real, but I'm not convinced yet, just based off of what we've read today, because it seems like there was not enough solid evidence, to really convince me. But
the one thing is that the locals around that area are terrified of the Wendigo.
Really,
like I've seen so many different TikToks and videos of families or just local people who are in the area and they hear a whistle or they the sun goes dark and they start closing their windows and everything. It is a common thing for them to be afraid of these creatures.
Yeah.
And we've talked about multiple times with skinwalkers and Bigfoot and all these creatures is that maybe sometimes they're just an animal that lives in the area, or sometimes they're a demon or a spirit that is tormenting people just for the sake of that. And I wouldn't be too surprised if that was the case here, especially, I believe that demons are more present, spirits are more present in places where they are not worshipped in a sense, but they are not ignored. They're kind of praised, or
right.
They're held up to a certain pedestal of this is a creature that we are all afraid of,
like a legendary sort of thing. Yeah, and
that is common in Mexico, in Japan, in China. I mean, there are areas, there are spaces, and that can also be here in America. I think there are multiple locations in particular here in America that there might be demons or creatures that live in this spot because that is what they're known for.
Yeah.
That is the spot that people go to see them, to visit them. And they're praised almost in a sense. Like Goatman Bridge or Skinwalker Ranch or the Appalachian Mountains. I feel like these are creatures that might be real. And I've never experienced it. We've never experienced anything. Now I've experienced demons and creatures before, but which I've talked about that in past episodes. But I just think that I would have to see it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not necessarily afraid. I am. Yeah, I'm a man of faith.
Just don't be afraid, and it won't eat you.
That's the thing. So. That's why I think we should go find him.
Yeah, just not be afraid. Be what do you like a friggin'? You don't have any muscle. You're just a friggin' bony.
8 to 10 feet tall. I'm gonna cut your legs off, and make you drink the bone marrow out.
Yeah, loser.
Fat bitch.
He just runs away. Yeah, you run off into the woods.
Yeah, run away and don't disturb the leaves.
Yeah, you run and don't disturb those leaves.
Yeah, that's right. You run away really fast.
Yeah, you would do that.
You run away at a rapid pace that I've never seen before in my life.
And don't disturb the leaves.
Don't disturb the leaves. You stinky boy. Or girl.
You. What? How did it describe it?
Stench.
An uneasy stench.
You uneasy stenchy boy.
You uneasy stenchy loser.
Get your loser uneasy stenchy ass out of here. When do you go away from here?
That was a good one.
No, it wasn't.
No, hey, that was a good one.
Wasn't.
That was better than that bison joke.
I thought the bison joke was pretty good.
Yeah. See, if we're gonna go and we're gonna do that, and then we're just gonna I mean, y'all are never gonna hear from us again, and you're gonna know that.
I think
you know that we got eaten by a Wendigo because we were making fun of it.
I think before we do the Wendigo, we'd probably end up going to New Mexico at some common skinwalker sighting spot and doing that again, because I would like to somewhat get a chance to interact with a skinwalker in any degree. Now, when we shot the skinwalker video, I swear that there is you can hear a whistle. It's in the video. I edited it. I talked about it. I edited the video like a shitty horror video to see how it do. And it did all right. It got a decent amount of views. But you can, and it's in the video. I don't know if you watched it or not. But
not all the way through.
there is a portion where we were out in the woods, and we were out we were pretty far away from the camp. It was pitch black. We were in a canyon. We were sitting, and there's a whistle 3 times, and it was in the distance. It was like woo, woo, woo. Like you hear it a few times, and I did research and like try to figure out any owls or screeching creatures that could have been out at that time.
Yeah.
And the only other one was a screeching owl, which did not sound anything like the whistle in the video.
Yeah.
So maybe
but
we did.
We didn't hear it though.
Yeah, we didn't hear it.
Yeah.
And we were like keenly listening.
Yeah.
So it's really weird that the video like picks it up, but the actual like people there didn't. Really odd to me. Makes me wonder. You know, like if we so like biblically Christians aren't capable of being harmed by demons or spirits.
Yeah.
Right? Like they
well
they can
actually,
they can physically harm you, but
you can't be like possessed by it.
You can't be possessed or killed. But it makes me wonder, like, we were both faithful and we're both not afraid of these creatures, and we also don't necessarily, we're not worshiping them. We were going out there to find it, but we also weren't necessarily like trying to hold it up to a high degree. And it makes me wonder if that's why we didn't hear it, is because we both were just not I don't know. You know what I mean? You kind of get what I'm getting at? Like,
yeah, I see what you mean.
Like we both were, I'm trying to find the right word to describe it. Like,
no.
We're protected to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't notice it or hear it.
Maybe.
But also,
which if that is the case, you know, if we were protected from something, then should that like deter us from ever going back out there again? Because it's like, oh, well, something we had to be protected from, you know. So maybe we shouldn't.
But we were protected in the first place. I think it would actually make me want to go out there more. Because it's
what are
you gonna do?
But
what are you gonna do?
There's a verse that says, you know, you should not test the Lord your God. You know,
I'm not testing God. I'm just testing the credibility of skinwalkers. You know?
Yeah, come on, what, you gonna attack me? Come on, dude. Dude, that would be terrifying.
You just what? Oh my god! I mean, you better upload the entire raw footage onto YouTube if you live and I die.
Oh yeah, vice versa.
And
I mean,
then,
same.
Well,
same.
yeah, I would definitely use you for clickbait. Yeah,
you use me for click, dude.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'd be like, my best friend
There's
Trent.
like a skinwalker, like, and then I'm like,
oh my god! It's like a screen grab of you getting mauled. Blurred.
My best friend got attacked by a skinwalker.
Nail face. Whoa! No, I wouldn't do that. But it does make me wonder, like, if we go to Skinwalker Ranch or somewhere in the area in New Mexico, and we go to Goatman Bridge, and we go to the Appalachian Mountains or whatever, and we go to these these locations that have spirits and ghosts and creatures, and we never experience them, but we keep catching weird little bits on film, that would be crazy discovery. Like if we just accidentally discovered a separation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, I remember the goat. Did you ever like hear any of the goat man stories whenever you were a kid? Yeah. I remember, you know, being a kid at like camp and that sort of thing, and you know,
it's
people telling all the goat man stories.
Near here. Like it's like 5 hours away from where we are.
The Goatman Bridge?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. The stories that I heard were like, you know, 2 hours away from here. Not even 2 hours.
Maybe, you know, but you really think those are real stories?
Probably not.
I don't think they are.
But still, it's just
honestly, we might do Goatman this summer.
Yeah,
just
cool.
Pick a weekend and just go out there.
Yeah.
I need to research more about what's going on with the Goatman. Like, do you need a certain jurisdiction? Is there someone you need to talk to about going there? Is it on private land? Is it on public? I think it's public. But also, like, you don't want to go there when someone else is there. And if you go on the weekend, then there's probably going to be people there. But then again, maybe not. Maybe people are terrified, you know?
Yeah, and they just don't want to. Maybe we're the only ones stupid enough to.
Like, can you set up a tent?
Go up there. Just on the bridge.
I feel like that would deter people. They'd be like, oh my God, there's a tent.
Yeah. stand up, stretch. Like, oh my gosh, there he is.
It's the goat man. What?
Oh no.
No, I'm not the goat man. Man,
Hey man, I'm not the goat man.
man, I'm not the goat. Man,
No, I am the goat man.
man, I'm the goat. Well, I feel like goat man is like a possession thing. I feel like goat man's probably more of a demon than anything.
Think so.
Yeah, I think so.
See, I pictured it as like a literal goat man. Like whenever I heard the stories as a kid, it was like
What do you
like
mean,
some like
what do you mean
weird
literal
goat man hybrid, human hybrid thing. It's like okay,
Like
here's
Mr.
what
Thomas?
no, like but more disturbing. Is like goat legs,
Goat legs,
human body,
human body,
goat arms.
arms.
Yeah, garms. And then a goat head, just like on top of all of it.
So just
But
A
but
big-
not quite a goat head, like mostly a goat head, but like with weird human like features. Like you know, like kind of dispersed
like
throughout.
human eyes, but they're on the side of the head.
Kind. Well, see,
He's got
his
human,
face was flat.
He's got the goat snout, but he's got human lips.
Oh, dude, that'd be so freaky.
And then
Yeah, but yeah,
nose
human
on the-
eyes, but like, yeah,
on the side.
that'd be so disturbing.
It would be weird. Yeah, it'd be.
And see, I would, because the camp that I went to is like kind of in a canyon sort of thing,
Mm.
and so I would always like have, nightmares. Not always, but like when I first heard the stories, I'd have like these dreams where he was like, coming out of this cave on top of the, ravine, and it was like this weird looking goat thing. And, yeah. Yeah. But Goat Man kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. So I can conquer my fears,
Wow, wouldn't that be interesting
Yeah.
if we just conquered your fears?
or we get killed by Goat Man.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Really, what's gonna happen is one of us is gonna get possessed and try to kill ourselves, and the other is gonna stop us.
Yeah.
And then everyone's gonna call us.
Stop it!
fake.
Stop!
My hands are balled up like hooves.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah!
Grayson, stop it! No!
Ah! Ah! What if we did that just to fuck with people, and then we just piss off the entire internet?
Yeah.
How dare you make fun of Goat Man?
And then we actually get possessed
And then Goat Man actually kills us both.
on camera.
Okay, but if
What's up, guys? I'm Goat Man.
guys, Grayson just jumped off the bridge. I don't think he's all right. Let's take a peek. Oh yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. He's not getting up. His arm is in his mouth.
Did you jump off the bridge
Like
for
this.
your arm to?
Like this.
You stood on the bridge and you're like,
Well, might as well put my hand inside my mouth. Like, while I
make him question what happened here.
yeah. Well, toaster bath isn't funny, but possession toaster bath is funny. What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think?
I don't know how to answer that.
It's the yes or no.
But
Do you think toaster bath is funny?
no.
Because you just laughed.
But you're the one that said it's funny. I didn't
I
say
can't
it's funny.
say the word because YouTube will take it off. YouTube didn't like that word.
Oh, the
Yeah, the S word.
S word. Yeah.
But I'm not making fun of the S word. I'm just talking about, well, I mean, commonly, like, there's a ghost hunting show where they went
Mhm.
and, they, like, went to the Go Man Bridge and one of the guys got possessed and he tried to choke himself. Is what
Dang.
happened. And they were, like, yelling at him to stop. But again, that's something that's like, come on.
Could be very easily staged.
I feel like it was. It didn't seem real.
Yeah, I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
So basically, what we need to do is we need to like bring baby-proof, sort of things like to where we don't have any like real knives. We don't have any.
We could duct tape oven mitts to our hands so we can't choke ourselves. What?
Yeah, that could work.
I mean, I don't really have weapons. We didn't bring weapons. Even when we went to the Skinwalker Ranch, we didn't have weapons.
Yeah. No, Skinwalker.
There was that person that tried to steal a campsite.
Dude, yeah, somebody. We almost got into a shootout. No,
That's true.
We
We
didn't
did
actually.
not almost get into a show, but we I don't know if
with
we
a
didn't
Tesla, dude.
we didn't talk about this, but we got to our campsite and we reserved it. And during this time, this is before Trump fired all of the national locations that are what's the word? National parks?
Yeah.
He fired most of the national park people.
Mhm.
And but even then, like in Paladary Canyon, their staff is like really bad. Like they don't have any staff there. And so
Yeah.
they closed early because no one was working. And so we got there like well into when they're open. Like
Yeah.
it was like Friday at 5 and they closed at like 8, I think.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh, surely there's going to be people there. And we got there and it was like no one was there. And there was no way to sign in to our reservation whatsoever. And we were like, okay. Because usually it's like a little sticker you put on your car. And then
Yeah. So when they drive by, they can see you have the sticker.
So we just went into the canyon because we did prepay for it. We did have the paperwork. I had screenshots. I had everything I needed to prove that we did, in fact, pay for that spot. We just didn't have any like physical paperwork, but it was because people quit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's nobody there.
so we got to our site finally, and we pull up to the spot and we drive past it, and there's a Tesla in the spot, and it says reserved on the tag.
Yeah.
Of the like, there's a little sign next to the spot, and it said reserved, so it was very clearly a reserved spot.
Mhm.
And we like drove by, and then we turned around, and I just stop, and me and Trent both are just staring at this Tesla. We're like, they didn't unpack anything. They didn't have any like stuff there. They were just sitting in their Tesla doing who knows what. And me and Trent just stared at them for like not even
Just
a
parked
minute.
the truck, and we're just like,
Yeah, we just stared for like a minute.
Yeah.
And they immediately folded.
and mainly we were just trying to figure out like what was going, like what is going on.
I was like,
It wasn't like the entire time. It wasn't like we're trying to intimidate them.
No,
so to speak.
we
It
were
was
just
we
like-
were what is going on?
And part of me was like, I really don't want to talk to these people and
Yeah.
be like, hey, I'm sorry, but we did reserve this spot, especially because there's no workers here.
Yeah.
We can't necessarily fight for it, but also if they don't get out of my spot and then I have to go to a different spot and then someone else comes there, I was just like, I don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they immediately folded and were like, oh shit, they're
Yeah.
definitely reserved for this spot and are trying to get in. And they immediately pulled out and went into a different spot that said reserved.
Yeah.
And,
like right next to us.
Yeah, it was like across from us.
Yeah.
And they didn't look at us. They didn't talk to us the whole time we were there. And they never got in trouble, I don't think. Or did they? I remember the little security golf cart lady driving around might have talked to them for a minute about something.
And what it could have been, like we had a pretty good spot. Like there was a lot of good shade and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe they were just like, oh, nobody's here,
Mhm.
and it's better than our spot. So
Yeah, maybe it wasn't malicious. They just wanted a better spot, but
Yeah.
we got that spot.
do you think that they may be watching right now?
I hope so. You guys suck. Next time, use the spot you
just-
reserved.
Use the spot you reserved.
Yeah,
Not that hard.
losers.
Comment down below if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah. Comment down below if you have anything to say about reserving a space and then using a different space that you reserved. Oh, what a time though. That was fun. We need to go out and camp again, Trent. We need to
We
do
do,
that.
yeah.
The weather's getting nice here. We can actually start doing that again.
Yep.
This is this time to do
I
it.
remember the first time we did it, it was like still kind of cold at
Mhm.
night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was freaking cold.
It did, yeah. We were like,
I had
oh,
my
this is
sleeping bag, and I
perfect.
was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a little
cold.
chilly. It was a little.
It was still fun.
Yeah, I mean, you were sleeping butt naked too. That will do it. I told you
know,
not to, and I
yeah.
told you you'd be cold, and you were like, "Mm."
Yeah, I just sleep better that way.
I know
Yeah.
you do, and I don't like it.
We weren't sharing a bag, so it's fine.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Thankfully. There would have been 4 bags in one bag.
That's crazy. Wait, 4 bags?
Yeah.
No, 3 bags. 2 in one bag. Right?
Well, if only one person is in the bag, yeah, but if we were sharing the bag, then it'd be 4 bags. 4 in one bag.
What do you consider a bag?
do you consider a bag? That's a stupid question.
What do you consider a bag?
I think a ball is a bag, like a ball sack.
See, I was thinking the thing that contains the balls is the bag.
And there's 2 bags.
Because bag and sack are synonyms, you know?
Because, you know, I guess it is just called ball sack, though. It's not called ball sacks. So then it would just be...
No, they'd be called sacks, not balls, if it was, you know.
Sacks. Yeah, that's true, because you say left nut, right nut, you know, so there's a separation there.
Yeah.
But also, they're connected.
Through the bag.
Typically. Through the bag, yeah, but... Yeah. So is it one bag or is it 2 bags?
It's one bag.
So it'd be 3 bags.
2 items.
No, 2 bags and 1 bag.
Yeah, two bags in one bag.
2 bags in 1 bag.
Mm-hmm.
Comment down below. Are balls 2
Sack.
bags or 1 bag?
Are balls sacks?
Are sacks balls? Balls.
And we
Sacks?
we went downhill there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We kind of
spiraled.
we ran out of stuff to talk.
I think I'm possessed by a Wendigo.
Well, anyways, with that, I think we're going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for listening. You know, I like how towards the end of every episode, it just deteriorates into us saying some random shit. And, you know, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider subscribing and sticking around. New episode every 2 weeks. We love you. Leave a comment. Bye.
Goodbye.